Welcome to the MGS Podcast, your one-stop shop for movies, games, and sports. My name is Jake, here always with my sugar pie honey bunch. How you doing, Paul?
Doing great, man. I am excited. We obviously hit our first, kind of big milestone that we wanted to get to this week. So thank you everybody who's been watching our videos, subscribing, sharing our content. We got to 1,000 views
Yeah.
within our first 4 big podcast videos. So thank you everybody for helping us out.
Yeah, and we're up to like several hundred hours watched.
Yeah,
So we know a lot of those people are actually watching the entirety of the podcast as well, which is really cool. It shows a lot of support
yeah,
for the channel. So
absolutely. So just keep helping us out. Continue to share our videos so we can get to our next goal, which is our subscriber count. But we appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah, once we get to 100 subscribers, we can get a custom YouTube URL. So that'll make it easier for you to tell your friends too, because it'll just be youtube.com/MGS podcast
Yeah,
instead of
super legit.
youtube.com/YVXWKN24724. It's just too complicated.
XYZ.
Yeah, XYZ. But to start things off like we normally do, we were able to see Lost City. Now, I will say this. I don't want to spoil anything for the movie because obviously you have to go out in theaters and see it. It was pretty funny.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
I thought it was great, man. God,
Don't do it.
The Cinder Bowl just not even age.
She does, but she does it flawlessly. Is the thing.
She still looks fantastic. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm gonna say, really, about it. But it was very funny. I enjoyed it. It was a good comedy. Definitely one you can take your significant other out and watch
Yeah.
together.
But I do want to touch on Halo for sure.
Oh, there might be some spoilers if you haven't seen the first episode yet.
Yeah, I'll
skip to.
Yeah, I'll put a
the movie section.
timestamp. I'll put a timestamp for once we stop talking about Halo. That way you can fast forward. But I loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. We were just talking before we started the podcast, and Paul brought up how gruesome and gory it is.
The first 15 minutes, I mean,
Yeah.
was absolutely crazy, and there was just so much action right away. And like I think I said last week, I was like, they want to do this to, bring in kids. And I was like, first 10 minutes into it, I was like, this is not for children.
You see a leg flying with blood everywhere, like, oh, okay.
Somebody's guts
Riley,
splattered
cover
all over
your
somebody.
eyes.
Yeah, it was wild. So
But now it's getting a lot of hate. A lot of hate online. People aren't happy with, people are complaining about everything. They're complaining about the CGI of the elites. You guys have to remember, this is a TV series. They're not going to spend all of their money in the first season. That being said, I thought the CGI was really good, and people are just being way too picky.
yeah, I mean, like I was telling you, I think by the time we get into the second season or the third season, we're going to see improvements to CGI, but you have to give it a shot. They have to get higher budgets as the season performs and gets into it deeper and deeper. But I thought they looked fantastic. I mean, to be able to see the energy swords.
There were some gruesome scenes with the energy swords,
dude,
too.
They literally. I mean, another not for children moment is they literally slayed a whole cave of children.
Oh, literally,
and
children.
I was like, no, they're gonna blur this out, or they're gonna pan away from it, and then this guy just.
What's wrong with the cameras, man? Show the angles right. Cameras are literally off, man, at the wrong time.
Dang, Paul, your plasma gun impression was so good that it knocked the camera out.
I thought I was aiming away from the camera, but apparently it hit it. So
yeah, we ran into a small technical issue. The camera decided that it just wanted to turn off. But like Paul was saying, yeah, there's a scene where the elites just slaughter a bunch of kids. So I wouldn't watch it with your kids.
This is what I'll do to you if you don't pay attention in school.
Yeah. Oh my God. But my big thing with Halo, I hope people watch it, give it a chance, because we've been, like we said on the last podcast, we've been waiting for this for a long time, and I don't want it to stop, because I don't want to say no offense, because full offense, stop being a crybaby.
Yeah,
watch the show and admire the beauty of it. Yeah, all shows are going to have their flaws, visually, even the writing, but just take it in and enjoy it. It's been 20 years in the making for us to get this, so
Yeah,
I don't
and
want it to go away yet.
100%. I was super excited for the first episode. I'll be definitely watching the second one this Thursday when that releases. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Yeah,
I'm
but
sorry for the spoilers, but
yeah, and then I'll put the timestamp right there. Welcome back for the people who decided to skip the spoilers.
So that was our reflection on Lost City and Halo. Today we're going to be talking about
Nerd stuff.
oh man, I'm excited about these two movies. We have Morbius, and then we actually have a TV series that's coming to Disney Plus as well, which is new Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
Looks amazing. So two Marvel, one show, one movie, and we'll talk about those. Games, we're going to be talking on Elden Ring, which is probably the biggest game out right now, most popular game.
Yeah, by far.
Jake's been playing a little bit of it, so we're going to get his insight there.
And I'm like 10 hours in now. Just
And Battlefield 2042, which is near and dear to both of our hearts. So we'll let you know what we think about that. And then sports, we got a lot of big news across all sports again. So make sure you hang around there to catch up on what's going on in the world of sports.
Yeah, so I guess we'll move into movies. So to open up our movie segment, just to highlight a few Oscars that were won last night. Best actor was Will Smith.
I think he tried to win that just on stage.
Yeah, he stole the show twice.
Yeah.
For those of you who have not seen it, we're not going to talk about it because it's a pretty hot topic right now and people are on both sides of it. But Will Smith smacked the shit out of Chris Rock.
Dude, first off, hats off to Chris Rock for staying up there and really not. I mean, you could tell he was a little stunned by the whole thing because he was kind of skipping over some words and stuff if you watch a little bit past his slap. But, I mean, for him to continue on that show and kind of keep things rolling.
Yeah, he did good.
It was crazy. So, but anyway, so Best Actor, Will Smith and the King Richard, about the Serenus Williams and her sister, Venus. And then we had Best Actress,
which was Jessica Chastain.
Yep.
And I didn't see the movie that she was in. She won it for The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Yeah, I didn't watch that.
I never saw that.
I didn't see the Best Picture either, which was Coda.
Coda, yeah.
I think it was a musical.
I believe so. I don't know how they won Best Picture though, because Dune
took over the show.
Yeah, Dune won 6 Oscars,
and we love Dune.
Yeah, compared to Coda won 3 Oscars. How do you win 6 Oscars? I compared it to MVP earlier. Coda is a quarterback, so it's automatically in the category for MVP. Dune is not a quarterback. Dune's Derrick Henry.
Cooper
Kupp, yeah.
Blowing out everything, stats, triple crown winner, and doesn't win it all. So.
Yeah, he had 1 extra game.
They're coming back for Dune 2, though.
Oh, yeah.
Coming for some revenge.
But, moving on to Morbius. Morbius, I'm actually really, I say this a lot. I feel like I'm a broken record. I always say I'm very excited for it, but I am. I love movies. That's why we started this podcast. We love movies, we love games, and we love sports.
Especially Marvel.
Yeah, especially.
Killing it.
Anything that's nerdy that I can have on my walls, I'm going to watch it. And Morbius stars Jared Leto.
Yep.
Which I don't think we have to tell you what he was in, but, he was recently in House of Gucci. He was Joker in Suicide Squad. Throwback all the way to the early 2000s, he was in Alexander with Colin Farrell.
Yeah. A little romantic there.
A little bit romantic, yeah. But he plays Dr. Michael Morbius, who is sick. He has a disease, and he's trying to find a cure for it.
And not even just for himself, but, for his patients either. Yeah. He's not greedy.
Yeah, he's a very selfless doctor. So he's looking for a cure for this disease that he has. So he goes to, capture a vampire bat. Now, I don't know how close to the comics this is going to be, because in the comics, very similar. He's looking for a cure for himself, plus, people who have this disease. So he goes to this cave, captures vampire bats, And through vampire bats and like electrotherapy, that's how they create the quote unquote cure. And, it ends up giving him vampiric like powers. And then he kills his friend. And then he jumps off a ship to try to kill himself.
Yeah.
Like it gets really dark in the
The
comic
powers
books.
with the I guess you could say the echo
Yeah. The echolocation
and
or
location
whatnot. Yeah.
looks like it was done pretty cool in the
Yeah.
movie. So I'm excited to see that because you see him flying around in the train station, and
Mhm.
that gives you the perspective of the city when you really see it, and kind of know that he'll be on top of things that way. But it looks like it was done really good. I know a lot of people out there aren't real fans of Jared Leto, especially after the way he did
Joker.
Joker.
Yeah.
I know you have your thoughts on that as well, but
Mhm.
Marvel's a whole different beast, and um, I love the way that they do their movies, and I think sometimes it has to go with the directors and the way that they portray these movies, so you get more out of a character depending on the certain directors. Um,
Now,
so we'll see.
yeah, with this movie, now it is a Marvel property, but it takes place in the Sony Venom verse.
Right.
So, when you see Tom Hardy as Venom, this is supposed to take place within that same universe, which I found it interesting because one of the people who appears in the trailer is Michael Keaton, who plays Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Right.
And he's wearing the exact same jumpsuit that he wore in Spider-Man Homecoming. So I almost think in if you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home, I'm not going to say spoiler alert because you're not nerdy enough to even be watching us right now. But when they send everyone back to their realities who know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, I feel like it accidentally sends Michael Keaton's Vulture to the Venomverse
Right.
somehow because he's there and nobody knows how he got there. That's a Marvel Studios property going into a Sony movie. So I'm going to be curious to see what happens with that. I have a lot of theories about this movie. A lot of
Don't
them.
don't say them because they're always right.
I know,
So.
they might be. They might be, but I'm fiending.
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that we could be seeing another Spider-Man on scene.
It's possible. In one of the trailers, if you guys haven't seen the trailer, at one point Morbius is walking by, he's like putting on a cloak, and he walks past a painting on a wall
Yep.
of Spider-Man and it says murderer on it. And while you and I were watching No Way Home, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man talks about how he got vengeful and started pulling his punches. These things just start
Spidey
going
sense started going
crazy.
crazy.
What if that is Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man?
Well, so the picture to me on the wall, if you really like, so if you pause it and look at it, it the picture of Spider-Man looks like the Tobey
Oh yeah,
Maguire outfit.
it was actually taken from one of the movie or what's the word I'm looking for? Like the DVD cover.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, because I say it didn't look like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, but I mean, it's not to say that that's not what's going to happen, because Andrew Garfield was in Sony Productions for that movie.
Yeah.
And then even to go back on the Vulture, Sony was the big money behind all of these Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
So this could be Sony's way of breaking off and doing their kind of own universe.
Yep.
And thanks to Spider-Man No Way Home, this could allow us to get Andrew Garfield back on screen.
Yeah, and because now
which I think we all want.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
I had said from day one, even once I love Tom Holland, I think he's great. Andrew Garfield is my Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's the one that I personally connected with more so than all of the other ones. It might be because he's extremely good looking.
Yeah, you have a thing for good-looking men.
I do have a thing for good-looking men. it's a anyway. Apparently though, all the Spider-Man stuff that was in this movie got cut out, including the scene where he walks by and sees the painting. I guess it's not going to be in there anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
So you don't think we're going to see any after credits or anything? Possibly.
I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh, so there might be something.
Yeah.
So stick around for the after credits.
yeah. Definitely stick around. There's possibly going to be 2 post-credit scenes, which are going to be pretty big. But back onto actual Morbius. Fun fact that I like to share with people about Morbius is you used to watch Blade, right? Wesley Snipes.
Yep.
Blade actually got his vampire powers from Morbius in the comic books.
So, and are they doing a Blade show?
They're going to be doing a Blade movie.
Oh, is it a movie?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was going to be like a a series that was
Yeah.
going to be launched on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
but
it's going to be a movie, and more than likely, it's going to have Kit Harington, who was in the Eternals,
Yep.
as Black Knight,
Nice.
because I don't. You should have seen Eternals before you hear this, but because Blade actually appears in the post-credit scene of Eternals.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You just hear his voice,
Right.
but if you're actually looking at the subtitles, you can see who it was, and then the director also confirmed that's who it was as well.
Yeah, it was funny towards the end of the trailer, when Dr. Morbius was sitting there and he's like got this guy and he looks like he's like interrogating him and he's like, I am Venom. He's like, I'm just kidding, I'm Dr. Morbius. I was like,
Dr. Michael
oh,
Morbius, nice to
but
meet
that
you.
was just like a little tease that we might be getting something
Yeah.
of that, and knowing that that's all going to be kind of intertwining
Well,
with each other. So
these characters to me are just so, they've all had their journeys. Like, legitimately, Morbius was a side character back in the Amazing Spider-Man comic book series. He was in issue 101 and 102, which is funny because in those issues, Peter Parker also had a mutation where he grew extra arms like a spider.
right.
And they used Morbius's blood. They had to talk to Dr. Connors, Lizard, to use Morbius's blood to cure Spider-Man. But that's actually where he got his start, was back in those. But he was a villain at first, and then he kind of becomes an anti-hero.
Looks like a villain in this.
So
I mean, he's definitely killing some people on that ship. I mean,
Yeah.
those guys, at first I thought they were hunting him, but then as I watched the trailer a couple times, I was like, actually, I think these guys are running from him.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh my God, what the hell is
Would
that
you
thing?
not?
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%, bro. I would have been jumped off the boat. I don't care if I got a gun. I'm like, nope,
Well,
I'm out.
That's a huge throwback to the comic books, because that's exactly how his origin story started in the comic
because
books.
he like washes up on shore, right?
Well, he ends up on the ship. He, kills a bunch of people there, and he ends up like hating himself because of it, because he doesn't want to do that.
Right. Almost can't control it.
Yeah,
Like
and
almost like a Venom.
yeah, and he almost kills. I don't know in the comic books if it's his fiance, but he like had a thirst for her blood, and then he literally threw himself off of a ship to get away from her, and that could be where we see him, wash up on shore
Sure.
in this movie. But one thing I think we might see in this movie,
Tell me.
Ghost Rider.
Nicolas Cage
No,
coming
not
back.
Nicolas
He's
Cage.
accepted the role.
So in the comic books, Ghost Rider is who told Michael Morbius, like, if you need to people, feed on people who deserve it.
Right.
Because, Ghost Rider is all about vengeance.
Right.
As his head is on fire and he's hitting people with his fire chain. Vengeance. So it'd be cool to see Ghost Rider. Not Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider, but just to see a new MCU Ghost Rider would be cool. Do I think it's going to happen? No.
But there's a possibility.
Yeah, it's going to be
The
a
door's
short
open,
movie. Where I think my expectations are way too high. Just like Venom 2. I loved it because it was Venom. But it was only like an hour and 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
And they could have easily made it longer, especially bringing Woody Harrelson on to play Carnage. And they made it way too short. But Morbius, actually, we're going to see it on Thursday.
Yeah.
It comes out
Thursday night.
on Friday, on the 1st. But, you can see it most theaters the day prior. So we're going to be going to see it Thursday night. And then, we'll be back next week to tell you what we thought about it.
Yeah. And then moving on to something else that's special, kind of like you said in Morbius, who was only in a couple comics as like a side character, and people ended up loving him, and here we are with a bunch of comic books and his own show later. We got Moon Knight.
Yeah. Moon Knight was, in my opinion, nobody has ever flat out said it. Moon Knight was Marvel's answer to Batman.
I mean, it looks like it. If you go back and look at some of the comics, the way that they kind of built this character, he's like a white knight, instead of a black.
Instead of the Dark Knight, he's the White Knight.
And by the way, I just got to say, if you haven't seen the trailer, just go check it out just to see the costume and
It looks good.
Dude, it looks amazing. Like, he just looks like an awesome character. And at this point, like, I'm watching, if you don't know much about him, you're probably gonna go in there and be like, he looks like he'd be a villain.
He was at first kind of.
He was a Marine who served and was like a mercenary type Marine, right?
It's kind of in the comic books. Yeah, he wanted to be like a boxer, a marine, a mercenary. Like he had a lot of ambitions in the comic books, and he was like an explorer. And they like come across this archaeological digging site in Egypt. They meet one of the villains there. I'm not going to say anything about the villain because I don't want to spoil anything that might be in this movie. But he ends up getting injured pretty badly, where he meets the actual
He actually
Egyptian.
dies.
Yeah, because technically he does, because then he's resurrected by the Egyptian moon god, Khonshu, which gives him the powers of the Moon Knight, which you actually see Khonshu in the trailers as well, and he looks amazing.
The elevator scene?
Yeah.
With the old lady?
It's almost like a horror movie.
Dude, it was weird watching him come down the hallway. I was like,
my
holy
God.
cow.
Like, oh.
And we didn't even say who's starring in it, but playing Moon Knight is one of our favorite actors.
Actually, he might be. Is he right behind us? Well, he's right here. He's right here. And he's somewhere in there, too.
Yeah,
oh, he's right there.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac played Poe Dameron.
And obviously just helped Dune win a whole bunch of awards at the Oscars.
He was amazing in Dune.
I kind of wish there was a way to like keep him on longer, but spoiler alert, sorry, he dies in Dune. So if you haven't seen Dune, just go watch it. It's too late to go watch in IMAX, but the movie visually was done.
It was stunning.
And
the
amazing.
Explosions were amazing.
Yeah. It was awesome.
we get off topic so easy.
Yeah, it's quick. Sorry.
But I love it. And it's also got
Oscar
Ethan
Isaac.
Hawke.
Ethan Hawke, Training Day. He's done a bunch of Western movies as well, but he did the Magnificent Eight. Is that what it was with Denzel Washington?
Yeah, and he was in Taking Lives with Angelina Jolie. I loved that movie.
I haven't seen that one.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Ethan Hawke, and he kind of reminds me of like a Christian Bale, because a lot of his movies you see him like go a little bit heavier and then thin and like anorexic.
He just transforms to play the characters that
awesome.
he plays.
Good actor. I'm excited to see him in this. And it'll be, I think, my first time seeing him outside of a movie. So
on
an actual TV series to give him a lot more face time. But I'm excited for that.
Yeah, So I don't think that this is going to be quite like the comic books. The reason being, in the trailers that we see Stephen Grant, who is a man who suffers from like a multiple personality disorder.
Yep.
Whereas in the comic books, we see Mark Spector, which is who he really is. And then after the incident, he ends up like creating different personas.
Yeah, but you hear him answer the phone. And she's like, Mark, what are you doing? He goes, why did you call me Mark?
Yeah, so we know at some point he's going to... Because even in the trailer, you do see Mark in the trailer. Like when he's in Egypt, that's Mark. But I think that's going to be flashbacks.
Right.
So I think we're going to come into this once he's already gotten the powers, but all these weird, confusing things are happening to him, and he doesn't know why, because he doesn't remember his original identity as Mark Spector.
Right.
Which brings me to my next point. So Ethan Hawke is going to be playing Arthur Harrow, which was only in one issue of the comic books, and I don't think that's who he's playing, because he was he was like the villain for one comic book, but he was never even like mentioned again.
Right.
So he wasn't popular, he wasn't cool, and he was nothing like this Ethan Hawke character. Because in the trailers, it almost looks like he's the leader of a cult.
Oh, here we go again.
Right. So you see like people bowing down to him in the trailer.
Yeah.
Where like Oscar Isaac is just standing there in the middle, so it looks like he's like drawing him out, like maybe he didn't know he was there, or maybe he did.
Yeah.
But
well, I one of the theories that I have is that his character actually isn't Arthur Harrow. I believe that his character is Randall Spector, which in the comic books is Mark's brother, and they both have their own issues. But to kind of summarize, like Randall like tries to kill Mark at one point, and actually like kills his girlfriend, is what it was. Kills his girlfriend, and then Mark finds out, because before she dies, she's able to say, this was Randall. So then Mark goes to hunt for Randall and ends up like hitting him with a grenade, which gives him like permanent brain damage. And then he is also visited by Khonshu and given powers of the Moon Knight.
I was gonna say, so he has to have something.
Yeah, Because, like, in the Egyptian prophecy or whatnot, there's actually 2 Khonshus or something like that. So there's 2 potential Moon Knights. So this character, what I've seen in the trailers, it seems like Ethan Hawke's character has some sort of powers.
Right.
You know, he's
you kinda
walking
see
around
it a
with
little
that
bit at the end.
staff,
Yeah.
and you know, is he like Moses parting the Red Sea? Like, what is this man doing? Yeah, actually, I guess that solves the cult thing too.
Yeah,
You know, if
right.
there's people bowing down to him, all I'm saying is if I just saw a man part the sea, so
I'm
I could
following
walk
him.
through it, I'd follow him.
Yeah.
Night and day,
Yeah.
or moon night and day. That was terrible. I'm gonna quick erase that in editing.
corny.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I'm not gonna let that one go.
But I'm extremely excited about Moon Knight. Again, broken record. Extremely excited. It's a nerdy thing. It's a comic book thing. Actually, a little piece. I don't think you knew this. So small.
Test me.
Trust me,
I
you
don't
didn't know.
know.
So, you know, Marvel, it's the opinion, created Moon Knight as like an answer towards Batman. And once Moon Knight was created, DC actually created a separate answer for Moon Knight. They created a character called Azrael.
I did not know that.
And Azrael looks almost identical to Moon Knight.
Really?
Yeah.
I ripped him right off.
It's pretty close. The difference
Rip
being...
this page out of the comic book. Do this.
Yeah. Just, so take Moon Knight and add like some King Arthur aesthetics to his armor, and that's Azrael.
Wow.
But Moon Knight is way cooler than Azrael.
Dude, he looks awesome. Like I said, the trailer looks amazing. Obviously, you're getting probably what we're going to see in the first couple, episodes. They're not going to give out too much, but it looks awesome.
Yeah.
And then digging more into like the comic books and who he was as a character, and then obviously Steven having all these different personalities as well is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. It's almost like they made it so it's a nerdy comic book series, but it's like a psychological thriller at the same time, because you see him going through these struggles of dealing with these different personalities. You know, in the trailer, at one time you see like he locks himself to the bed, and then the next part of the trailer, he's coming out of the bed in different clothes, and like he's not locked up anymore.
Right.
So it's like, did one of his other personalities take over and go party?
Right, yeah.
Do a couple
alter
dabs.
egos that he's got going on.
Well, so another interesting thing, once in the comic books, I get so much nerd stuff right now. I'm sorry. Yeah, in the comic books, when he creates the alter ego of Stephen Grant, it's actually like this rich billionaire who's got all this nice, cool stuff. So this Stephen Grant,
Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, pretty much. So this Stephen Grant being, struggling with, essentially mental disorder, but still working in a museum that deals with Egyptian artifacts, almost like Mark is still in there somewhere.
Right. Yep.
That comes out on the 30th, on Wednesday.
And real quick, just to pick up on the Batman kind of thing too, I also saw that in the comic books, Moon Knight does a lot of detective type of work as well. Which was another thing that they were kind of trying to make him be like that Batman in the Marvel universe. So, no, like you said, it comes out, what day was it?
The 30th, on Wednesday.
So, yeah, excited to see that. Disney's going to probably launch an episode a week. Hopefully we get
Torment
10. Did they say how many episodes we're going to see?
Probably, but I didn't look into it, because
a
lot of times I get really upset because it's like, oh, here's 6 episodes, but we promise they're all going to be an hour long, and they're 30 minutes.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit last week. Pisses me off. But yeah, so that'll do it for our movie and TV show that we had this week for our movie segment. Stick around. We're going to come back and talk about some games. 2 games that we're actually pretty excited to get on. Elden Ring being one of the biggest games out right now. And then Battlefield 2042. So come back and we'll see you in a few.
See you in a few. We said that we'd bring Bosk on, so this is my bearded dragon Bosk.
What's up, Bosk?
He looks a little weird right now because he's shedding his skin, so he's changing He's like all gray on the back. But
How cool would it be if he bit your lip right now?
hey boss, do you think all these people should subscribe? Yeah, for sure. They should definitely subscribe. I didn't even know he could talk.
Me neither,
This is
dude.
crazy.
Welcome back to the MGS podcast, your one-stop shop for movies, games, and sports. We're here at our second segment, and we are going to be talking about Elden Ring and some Battlefield 2042.
You know, I didn't know you were actually starting. We'll keep going, but I was doing like a super creepy stare into the camera.
Were you?
And then you just cut into it. I'm like, dang, it's too late. I'm committed.
Creepy,
But I
creepy,
looked away.
creepy.
Yeah, Elden Ring in
don't show your
2042.
children that creepy face, huh?
They've seen it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off here with Elden Ring, which Jake has been kind of playing a little bit of that. Unfortunately, I don't have the spare time to get into one of those single-player games that you need to be fully
You need
invested
a lot
into.
of time. Yeah.
So I know when you first started playing, you weren't 100% committed to weren't feeling it, but I know you have your opinions now, so I'll let you talk about the game a little bit and tell us what it's about.
Yeah, so Elden Ring was created by From Software. They're the same people who created Dark Souls
No,
and
you gotta say it.
Bloodborne.
Dark Souls.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Oh, I did it.
So it's just picture. So let me talk about Dark Souls just for a second. It's a hardcore, very unforgiving game. Now, if Dark Souls had a baby with Zelda Breath of the Wild,
And these two babies.
but if it had a baby with Breath of the Wild, that gives you Elden Ring. It still has a lot of that Dark Souls, very unforgiving combat, but it's a little more manageable. And like when you said, when I first started playing it, it was hard for me to get into it because there isn't a lot of direction to the game. You know, you kind of start off in this, training cave. They teach you a few things here and there. And it's all about listening and paying attention because you have to figure out everything else on your own. You have to figure out where to go on your own. There's no quest markers. There's no logs. You got to figure it out. And I don't have a lot of patience anymore. So like when the people were talking at the beginning, I'm like, skip, 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 skip. You're annoying. Skip. And then I'm at the point.
What's that you say? Skip.
Yeah. And then I'm at the point where I'm like, damn.
I should have listened.
I don't know what to do. So I started over and I listened to everything. It was excruciating, but I got through it. And now I'm enjoying it. So Elden Ring, you play a tarnished. You're like almost like a resurrected warrior. And your goal is to like find the Elden Ring to become an Elden Lord. Now, I don't know a butt ton about the story because I'm only 10 hours in and I find myself doing a lot of side stuff. But
Trying to 100% the game.
I don't think anybody can. I don't think it's possible. From what I've read online, especially not having quest logs. So if you start a side quest and then all of a sudden you get attacked by a big enemy or a boss or something and you forget about the side quest, you forgot about it. There's nothing to remind you that you started this side quest. But there's a bunch of classes that you can choose from. I think the first hour of me playing this game was me creating my character.
Oh, I heard that the character creation is like super in depth. Like
Yeah,
it's
no
other game is like it.
Like I'm spinning my character and adjusting the nose. I'm like, no, not right. No, not quite. Ah, there we go.
That's the one.
Yeah, it was perfect. But there's a bunch of different classes. You've got a hero. Now, I don't know what all their abilities or techniques are or anything, but you've got your hero class, bandit, astrologer, warrior, prisoner.
What'd you go with?
Samurai is what I ended up going with.
Nice.
And a lot of that is because I had said the other day that one of my favorite single player games is Ghost of Tsushima, where you play a samurai. So I'm still kind of attached to that.
Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah. Oh my lord, I used to love Dynasty Warriors.
It's the greatest game ever.
But then you've got the Confessor, the Wretch, the Vagabond, and a Prophet. So there's a bunch of classes. They all have their different perks, advantages, disadvantages. And they all have, unique armor sets that you can find as well. and you can really make your character your own. But when I say this game is difficult, like it's difficult.
Really?
One of my California friends, T-Bone, he says to me, he's like, "Hey Jake, whatever you do when you get out of the training tunnel, don't go to the left and fight that guy." And when he says it, I'm like, damn right, I'm gonna go to
I'm
the
gonna
left
go
and fight that. So
Nope.
I get out of the training tunnel and I look to the left and literally I just see this giant. It looks like a giant knight on a horse or something. Like I can take him.
He's going down.
I'm so good at ducking and dodging. I got all the D's of dodgeball down. I can do this.
Dodge, dip, duck.
Yeah. So I run over to this thing. I'm like, yeah. He literally crushed me. One hit.
One
dead.
hit, done.
And the funny thing is, I'm like, all right, Redo, I can beat him. I was just trying to figure out what he was. I wanted to.
How many times did you try?
Oh, quite a few.
10 times.
I mean, it was at least 10 times, but each try was only a few seconds.
I know exactly why you did it too. It's because you were gonna go to T-Bone and be like, "I did it on the first try, T-Bone."
No, I wouldn't have said the first try, but I might have exaggerated a little bit. Maybe I would have said the fifth try. Like it was easy once I figured out all of his techniques and how to dip, dodge, duck.
If you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge this knight.
Yeah, I can't dodge him yet. And so, that was my first playthrough.
Just let you know, it's going to be one of those things where you get all the way to the end of the story, and the only way you can 100% the game is by going all the way back to the beginning to beat this guy on the horse.
Oh, I'll be able to beat him at that point. I even think now, where my character level is now, I think I could beat him.
Well, I only say that is just because I've heard that the world is huge.
It's massive.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You go all the way in, and then you have to go all the way back. But
I didn't realize how big it was until right at the beginning, near where this crazy knight is that smashed me. There's a little cave. And you go down in the cave, a bunch of rats who, the first time I went in, they swarmed me and I got killed by a bunch of rats 4 times. Because they swarm you. There's like 8 of them in there all attacking you at the same time.
freaking Bruno.
Yeah. Hey, we don't talk about Bruno.
Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry.
So I finally get past the rats and there's a door and I open the door and there's like a glowing chest and I'm like, yes, my treasure awaits me. So I open it and all of a sudden it's like, yo, you've been teleported to, I forgot where it said. And then I pull up the map. I'm on the opposite side of the world in the most difficult area of the map. So I'm in this little hut,
Well,
right?
this didn't go as planned.
I was in this hut for 2 hours because I couldn't walk out. Because the
Without getting
second I
killed?
walked out, I got killed.
Oh, God.
There's all these weird like insect creatures that have these swords and they're just super fast. And then I've got these other things shooting magic at me. But eventually I got out and I was able to roll like all the way down the stairs and get around them. And then I had to slowly make my way back to the starting point where I could actually survive. And then after I walked like 90% of the way there, dying many, many times, by the way, because every enemy over there just
So
kills
there's
me
no
one
way
hit.
to go back through the portal that
No.
took you there.
No, it closed.
Oh, that sucks.
I found out something interesting once I got almost all the way back, though. I could have fast traveled back to back to the point.
She sat there for 2 hours. Out of the 15 hours he's played the game, 2 of them were sitting in this hut.
So the worst part about this, though, so the experience points that you get in this game, it's a lot that you have to collect. They're like souls. You collect souls. That's what it was in Dark Souls, anyway. So you collect these souls, and as you collect more and more, those are your experience points. So let's say you have 70,000 experience points, and then you die. You lost them all. You can find your body again to like collect your experience points.
But only a certain amount, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I don't know what the time limit is, but yeah, there's a time limit. The downfall is if you just got killed by a difficult enemy, your experience points are sitting right on his butt. So you gotta have to run back over there and quick try to dodge through him, and then you die again. And again.
And again.
And again.
So forgive me for maybe this is a dumb question because I don't
forgive
I don't really play these games. I just don't have the time, unfortunately, to sit down and play them with the lifestyle at home right now. But is it anything similar to like Skyrim?
When I
Or-
first saw the trailers, I thought it was.
Okay.
it's similar in the extent of, it's a big open world with a lot of customization to your character. There's dragons in it. If you take Skyrim and like add hardcore mode to it, and then add hardcore mode to that, and then add another hardcore mode to the two hardcore modes you just added, and then you're at you're at Elden Ring.
I mean, I know the world's huge, so I mean, another one to go into for Star Wars. The last Star Wars game was open world, massive. Is it bigger than that?
Yeah, it's. I can't see the whole map yet because I haven't gone everywhere, so I can only see part of it. But it's pretty big. It's pretty big.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I had the time to sit down and kind of do these games. Sometimes too, I don't have the patience for it as well.
Yeah, you won't have the patience
which is
for
why
this
I
at
like
all.
to play, a lot of the first person shooters.
Well,
and
plus,
all that stuff,
you
so.
just walking triples your time for everything you would do in the game.
Oh, you have to tactical sprint.
You have to tactical
Here we go
sprint.
again.
You have to roll. You roll a lot.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, you've got these bosses, especially against the bosses. I mean, these are people who, the last boss that I fought, which was the first big boss you get to as you're trying to get to like this first castle. I mean, it had to be 30, 40 tries.
Yeah, I mean
till I beat him.
And the game looks incredible. I mean, the graphics.
The graphics are incredible. The creatures you come across are terrifying.
Really?
I came across this weird spider thing that had like a human king's head, and it destroyed me.
Did it look better than Dwayne the Rock Johnson in the Mummy?
Yeah, the Scorpion King. They had the resemblances, but it looked way better than the Rock's Scorpion King. So, I finally beat this boss to get into this castle. It took me, like I said, 30 to 40 tries to beat this guy. Get into this castle, and you come across like a guard who gives you a warning. You play the game, listen to the guard's warning. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but listen, he's not lying to you. And I make it into this castle. Listen. Linda. So I make it into the castle, and it's all like dark and scary, right? I come around this corner, and then out of nowhere, this thing just comes and stabs a knife through my back and kills me. Like it put its arm over my face and killed me.
You have the volume up.
I was like, "Oh my lord!"
Like,
what is that? It's just this ugly zombie-looking guy who apparently has a dagger that was perfect size to go through my back and out of my heart.
Gruesome?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's
Cool.
pretty gruesome.
Cool. Did you record it?
No.
Oh man, see, you got to record that because then we can put that on Game Clips of the Week.
I only record like my good gaming so people think that
But
I'm
if
really
it's
good.
cool.
That's true. But I do plan on streaming Elden Ring though on the MGS Twitch at some point because I think it would be a game that's a lot of fun for people to watch.
Right now, man. You need to get up there.
Yeah. Well, next time we do a stream, we'll put it on the Instagram, on the Facebook. So, come play with us. Join us, chat.
I'll tell you another one that's going to be up there on Twitch. Battlefield 2042.
Not really, but let's go into it. So, the reason now I know you guys have heard us talk about Battlefield 2042 a lot. The reason I wanted to bring it up on this podcast specifically is I've had a few friends since we started the podcast say like, "Hey man, been hearing you guys talk about Battlefield. Watched your game clips of Battlefield. Kind of makes me want to buy Battlefield." So I kind of want to talk about Battlefield as a warning to people. And, between you and I, we've got a lot of hours in that game. We know the bugs, we know the good things, we know the bad things. And unfortunately, as much fun as you and I have in it, there are a lot of bad things that a lot of people don't like about that game right now.
But to your point there being as heavy invested into Battlefield as we are, we may be also pickier than a lot of people who are freshly picking up the game.
That's true.
So I do want to say that because there are things that I get frustrated with that should be like easy fixes, like just
like shooting
launch,
someone.
Yeah, aim
You're
assist. Just like things that you think could launch in a simple update, but they want to keep waiting until the big update to fix these minor things. But at the same time, you're pushing out your Battlefield lovers.
Yeah.
And
they've lost at this point, I believe, is 98% of their day one player base.
Yeah, because day one was how many people were playing it?
Several million.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, on Steam, they're getting maybe 2,000 daily. Now, mind
Crazy.
you, there's other platforms. You've, of course, got Xbox, PlayStation. On PC, you've got the Origin Game Store, the Epic Game Store. So there's a lot of other places where people are playing the game. But Steam being the biggest one on PC, only having 2,000 concurrent players, is
Crazy.
pretty low. That being said, I don't think we've ever really had to wait for a match. No more
No.
than like maybe a minute on the worst day.
Yeah.
Because the game will fill the lobby with AI, but then as players come in, they'll
Takes out
replace
the
those
AI.
AI. So, and actually, we have a lot of fun when the AI are in there.
Yeah. Especially when we got the helicopter in the
Yeah.
beginning. Jake's like, hold on, there's a bunch of AI that are going to be standing right over here. Fly right over this direction. And first off, Jake gets like 10 kills from the
Yeah.
chopper.
I'm going to have to put that on Gaming Clips of the Week because I got my perspective of you almost crashing into the mountain, but
And saving it.
in some amazing piloting skills, you saved it.
I'm pretty badass.
So when Paul and I used to play Battlefield 3 and 4 on Xbox 360 and Xbox One, Paul was an amazing helicopter pilot.
I like to brag.
One story comes to mind, I think it was Battlefield 3, like you were in a helicopter and I was running like up towards like this castle type thing at the top of the hill and there was a big bridge and like I was pinned down because there were a bunch of people on the bridge shooting at me when I was trying to go across it. And I'm like, Paul, come help me. And you're like, I'm coming, bro. And you just crashed the helicopter right into all of them and killed them. And then I died anyway.
I would do it for you in the real life too, bro.
The sacrifice did not go unnoticed is what I'm saying. But 2042, you were a bad pilot at first. It took you a while to get used to the controls, but now I think, well, with the one helicopter, you're better than me in the one helicopter.
The
I'm
one
better
thing
than
that
you in the
threw me
other.
off is we didn't really have helicopters in Battlefield 1 or Battlefield 5.
So it's been a while.
So, yeah, so it was just a while since I've actually flown it. And then when I first got into it in 2042, I was like, dude, this just feels weird. And the nicest thing about Battlefield 4 was there was a training,
Yeah.
so I could just hop in the training, go grab the helicopter that I want, fly around, learn the maneuvers and everything. And this one didn't do it. And then I kind of got like a confidence, had low self-esteem on flying the chopper after crashing it twice.
I can't do it.
Like one time I crashed it after like 2 minutes into a game and some guy comes up in the chat and is like, you suck, don't grab the chopper again. I was like,
why even take the chopper if you can't fly it, stupid?
So then I was like, you know what? Forget that guy. I'm going to keep driving.
Yeah. Well, I feel like in this game, vehicles are so important because the maps are big. They're too big.
Yeah.
They're too big. There's not a lot of cover. That's one of the biggest issues. They are a haven for snipers like myself.
So much open field. And we've even made jokes about that in our previous podcast. That it's a World War III game and there's no destructive tanks, no down vehicles.
It's beautiful scenery in a lot of the maps.
It's like, oh wow, this is such a gorgeous sunset.
Like look at these blades of grass just glistening in the sun with the morning dew.
It just doesn't look like a World War III game and the destruction. Like you think you see down buildings and more cover, but literally like a few maps, you have to run straight across an open field, and it's just pick off for snipers.
Yeah. I mean, from one of the maps, I don't remember which one it is, but from your first objective to the first point, it's like 500 meters, and they are elevated, so they can just. I mean, look at me that one day. Yeah, it was discarded. Yeah, that one day I had 16 kills within literally 30 seconds of the match starting because I was the sniper.
So if you go back and watch our first podcast, Jake is the very introduction of the video is Jake sniping. And that's the run. Right where that ship is where you need to get to the first point. And that's Jake just clipping these people as they're running across this open field. And you literally see him go from left all the way to the right. And it's just a huge open field where it's just a sniper haven.
Yeah, and a lot of the maps are very similar to that. There's currently 7 maps, which is low for Battlefield. Normally they have more maps than that. And they're not friendly to the 128 player count that the game is supposed to support. So most people, like Paul and myself, we find ourselves joining the 64 player lobbies. So it's 32 versus 32. The map shrinks a little bit, which makes it a little bit better. But there's no cover. You should have blown up tanks here, blown up Hummer there, down helicopter. Yeah, just debris that you can hide behind. But there's nothing. It's open field. So
and the one thing that I that I think made me mad. Like, they put the storms and the weather changing, which they've had since Battlefield 3.
Yeah, because we had the hurricane
Yeah, but
and the
do you
naval
remember the
back,
Hong Kong map on Battlefield 4
and
where literally the 80-story
you
skyscraper
could bring it
falls
down.
down?
Yeah,
Like, there's none of that. And that
yeah.
was what made me mad because I thought we were going to see that in what's the Russian city? Um,
At Kaleidoscope,
yeah,
the Korean
Kaleidoscope. I
city.
thought
Yeah,
maybe one of those buildings would be destructible, but they literally took that out of the whole game. And I'm like,
yeah. The only thing in that map that's levolution is what they call that. The first big building that you encounter has a big antenna on it, and you can bring that down.
but that's it. And the
That's
only way
it.
you're going to see that is if you're flying a helicopter because the building's what, like 60
I've
stories
had it
now?
land on me before.
Really?
Yeah. and and the game is so
And the
poorly.
missile
Yeah,
on
the
orbit.
on orbital, you've
Yeah,
got the missile that launches, and
you can blow
there's a
that up.
few other small things here, like discarded. The side of the ship is like being held up by these wires, and you can make that fall
I don't
down.
even know if I've ever seen that.
I've you've run through it before after
Yeah,
it's happened, but you might not have actually. It's nothing like
Battlefield
Siege
4.
of Shanghai
Yeah.
when that building falls. Or there was also in Battlefield 4, there was that map that had the big dam, and you could blow the dam, and then it
Yeah.
floods the map.
Yep.
It was so
Those were
cool.
the best, what do they call it? What'd you say?
Levolution.
Levolution.
Mm-hmm.
Was in Battlefield 4, and I felt like they just took a step back. Like, I mean, the tornadoes are cool. You get sucked up in them, you're flying around.
Yeah.
But it also gets kind of annoying.
They said those things. What was it? What I think they said 10% of the matches you play is how often those tornadoes are supposed to hit. How often do we not see
Yeah, I mean,
a tornado?
we play it all the time,
Yeah,
so, like,
and they're definitely cool to see. Like, I wouldn't mind even if they were just in the background and you could see stuff happening. But when you're on objective B2, and a lot of times when Paul and I play the game, we're the only two on our team capturing and holding objectives. So a tornado comes and swoops Paul and I off of B2. Now they capture it because they were in a tunnel, and we lose the objective and then the game because these silly tornadoes.
yeah,
Again, they're cool, but back to the levolution thing. The tornado comes through, and when it's gone, no destruction.
right.
Like, it should have torn down buildings.
Yep.
Do you remember in Battlefield 5 in Firestorm? You had the fire circle that would come through, and you're like running through the fire, and it's collapsing all of the buildings
Right.
as it's coming
You
through.
start
So
seeing
if you're
everything
in a
start to
building,
deteriorate.
yeah,
And,
the trees burn up. And I don't know what, I feel like they saw the success of Call of Duty 2019, and they wanted to make a Call of Duty game, which Battlefield doesn't sell because people want to play a Call of Duty game.
right.
It sells because the destructive environments.
It's like the imagination just went away.
It did. And a lot of those developers that made Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, not so much Battlefield 5, but a lot of those developers are gone. They
Right.
work for different studios now. But a lot of them have been chiming in on the issues with Battlefield. And, one of them even went as far to say, who approved this game?
Yeah.
Like, who
And
are you?
I mean, you got to remember too when they were going through like right before launch and the year before when we kind of started hearing a lot more rumors about the game. It was during the middle of COVID, so a lot of these guys were working from
Yeah.
home and they weren't in like a studio. So to me, you're not bouncing ideas off each other or bugs and things like that. You're having to communicate through
More than
probably
likely it's like a
Skype or
chat
tag,
or
yeah, or
something.
chat.
Yeah.
And I think I will blame COVID on a lot of it because I think it definitely derailed the success of that game. But to me, like I said, there's updates you could do that just to fix minor bugs that you shouldn't have to wait until season 1 pass
Well,
or season 2 pass and you know to fix those things.
look at the scoreboard. So Battlefield 2042 launched without a scoreboard and without voice chat, which it still does not have
Well,
voice chat.
It had the scoreboard, but it only showed you
It's just your
It
squad.
didn't tell you.
It didn't show you where you compared to everyone else. It didn't show deaths because per EA, they didn't want people to feel bad
Yeah, what is this,
for their
Instagram?
deaths, apparently.
Dude.
So, like,
I'm not here to kill people.
I die more than anybody else in the match typically. I have no issue with that because I also have 100 plus kills every
Right.
game. But, they finally gave us a scoreboard. But from the time they announced that they were going to give us one until we got it, 4 months for a scoreboard. They
And that's
pushed.
the only update that they had
That's
with
it.
that last update.
That's it. We still haven't gotten voice chat. We're possibly getting that next week. They say this is a very team oriented game and you have to work with your team. And then they took away the ability to talk to your team.
Right.
Makes no sense. Now, Paul and I, even in the old Battlefield games, we just communicated with each other. We were typically in a party chat. So voice chat isn't a big deal
I don't want to
for
brag,
me.
but we're actually a pretty solid team.
Together. Oh yeah.
I mean, we conquer objectives, just the two of us.
Just the two of us.
So
We can make it if we try, just the two of us. And I. So, but
That's a Will Smith song.
That was good. I forgot that was Will Smith. I probably shouldn't have sang that yet. But so season 1 was supposed to come out at the first week of March. Season 1 got pushed back to July so that they could work on, game breaking bugs, which I've never personally really experienced a game breaking bug. There's bugs, like you have the bug where it takes off your attachments sometimes.
That's annoying. But I mean, I can still shoot through the iron
well, just
sights.
like the bug, there's a bug where if you die close to a wall, sometimes you can't get revived.
Annoying. That's the most.
It's annoying, but it's not game breaking.
No,
like you just hey Paul, you're in the wall, I can't revive you. Actually, gaming clips of the week where I went on that 12 kill streak or whatever, I was trying to revive you, but you were in a bush.
Yeah,
so I couldn't revive you because of a bush.
And like you said, they're not game breaking, but most bugs. And I don't want to seem like we're harshing on Battlefield because most bugs in any game are annoying. They're like just fix it, because every game's gonna have their bugs. But it just seems like Battlefield has done better on the releases of not having these issues, which has always made the game so great. That it's seamless.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, they've always had bugs on launch, but there was so much content and so much pride everywhere else in the game.
Well, it used to be like an update would come out, and then you notice something got fixed. You're like, oh, I like this better.
Yeah.
Not like, why haven't they still fixed this? Like, why is this still happening?
Like, you guys have known since November that if I'm by a wall, I can't be revived. Why can I still not be revived?
So terrible.
Yeah, their communication has been poor. They actually shut down their subreddit at one point due to toxicity with the fans. Now, you and I mean, we're diehard Battlefield vets. We've played every Battlefield game that has ever come out. We've loved most of them. We've been playing Battlefield religiously for years. And the funny thing is, gameplay, as far as the gunplay, I actually enjoy 2042 more than the other games. Now, for Paul, right now, aim assist is broken in 2042. So Paul can't really say how he feels about the gunplay because he's never really experienced the good gunplay because the aim assist is broken.
I mean, I feel like I'm gonna light shit up when the aim assist
for sure.
comes back.
Yeah, you're gonna be like aimbotting people basically at that
Throw 'em
point.
out.
Yeah. But I with mouse and keyboard, I've experienced the actual gunplay and I love it. The gun customization is terrible. Worse than it's ever been in any Battlefield game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then the lack of guns.
Yeah, there's 22.
Yeah, and
that
did it
includes the
start out with
sidearms.
22?
They started off with 22, but that
I thought it
includes
was
your
lower than that, but-
includes your sidearms. Compared to Battlefield 4, 73.
Yeah,
73 guns at launch.
and they're supposed to be
for
getting
Battlefield
more
4.
guns, but they're also taking away guns
So
for the next update, right?
there was a
They better not take away the AC. I'm getting used to it.
no, they're not gonna take anything. So there's a guy, I believe his name is Tempriel. He does data mining. He goes into video games and he finds stuff that's already in the game that's just not available. He found a few weapons for 2042. One of which was like completely designed, and he even released it on his Twitter. It's a new assault rifle, but it's just one. So more than likely in July we're gonna get one gun, one map, one specialist.
And the maps. There's the 7 main maps you play if you're playing outside of Portal and doing warfare.
Yeah, and of
which
course
gives you
you've
your
got
breakthrough, conquest, and all that. But they have all these other maps. I would just be happy if you could just play those maps.
bring them into the main
conquest
game.
and breakthrough.
Like Caspian Border?
Yeah.
They've got Caspian Border in there?
Son of a.
So we're kind of experiencing another camera issue there. Sorry about that, guys. We'll get it figured out before the next podcast gets going, though, so you don't have to deal with those errors popping up on the screen anymore. But we were talking about the maps that were in Portal. They have a few Battlefield 3 maps, few Battlefield 1942 maps, and a few Battlefield Bad Company 2 maps, and one of them was Caspian Border, which was a Battlefield 3 map. They remastered it in Battlefield 4. We've killed a lot of people on Caspian
and
Border.
another one of those maps that has
Yeah, it's the Levolution with the
yeah,
giant radio tower that can
falling
come
down right in the middle of the map.
Yeah,
so.
and then it destroys those buildings that it like lands on, and
Dude, that was one of the ones we used to get in the helicopter and rake people.
yeah,
That was
we used to even
such
even
good
the
times.
Jeeps that they had in there with like the mounted minigun. We used
Yeah.
to destroy people on Caspian Border. And yeah, if they just took those, I think it's 2 maps from each, but that's 6 additional maps. Take those 6 maps, put them into the base rotation of 2042, and it'll be great. Get rid of the specialists.
Yeah, and get rid of all of them just being available in Portal.
Yeah,
Like Portal gives you all these options, but you don't get, and you can play those maps. Don't think that you can't, but you have to play them in Portal. But Portal you can't rank up.
yeah. One
So-
Portal has more guns because you've got the Bad Company 2 guns,
Right.
Battlefield 3 guns, and the 1942 guns. Put those into rotation. This is a futuristic game. I get it. You've got the M5A3 instead of the M4. But bring in the M4 that you have in Portal and the M16 you have in Portal.
I
Give
mean,
us
I just
more
watched
options.
Halo, which is 2,000 years into the future,
And they got
and they're still
AK.
using AK-47s. Like, why is that not in 2042?
Yeah, but all of that aside, we're going to kind of finish up our gaming segment here because we know we're running a little long on this, but we get really passionate about Battlefield. Battlefield 2042 for us, it is a fun game.
Yeah, I still love it, even though they have their bugs.
Yeah, there's issues, there's things that need to be fixed, there's a lack of content, but I have zero issue every single night getting on that game and playing it.
Yeah, and I will say, content-wise, you're not going to get on there if you're just starting and you're going to feel like you're missing something because it's all going to be new to you. But the people who bought the premium are the ones who are going to feel like they're missing out on content to a certain extent and feeling like they didn't get everything they were promised. But we encourage you guys, even with the bugs that we talked about, we just kind of want you to know what you're getting into. But the game is so much fun.
I've got 500 hours.
Do you really?
Into that, yeah.
Yeah, I probably have maybe a quarter of that. That's for sure.
So if I can play it for 500 hours, you can play it and you'll enjoy it. I can promise you'll enjoy it.
If you guys shoot us your gamer tags and you guys want to hop in, I'm telling you, we have a blast on that game and it's so much fun that if you want to join our squad and squad up with us, especially if you're new to Battlefield, we have no
100%.
reason of not showing you the ropes of the game and, giving you kind of insight. And it may help you, get into Battlefield 24-2 a little bit easier than going to play by yourself.
Well, another huge thing, if you have Game Pass, Xbox Game Pass, you get EA Play with that for free. You get a 10-hour trial for Battlefield for free. Same with PlayStation. If you have EA Play on PlayStation, you can get a 10-hour trial for free. So you can go try out the game for 10 hours without having to pay anything. If you do, put in the comments what your gamer tags are or your PlayStation Network ID or whatever, and we'll play with you guys. We'll
squad up.
I'll take it down a notch,
No, he won't.
No, I won't.
He'll rub it in your face. You guys see who's number one on the scoreboard now that you can see who's on the scoreboard?
It's always me. Spoiler alert.
So yeah, we're excited about Battlefield, and they got some good stuff coming in the works for another game. Hopefully they keep the content rolling for this one, and that'll really do it for our gaming segment.
You did it again.
So, but we'll be coming back here in a moment with some sports. Gonna quick hit on some topics there that's going on in the sports world. But again, check out Elden Ring. Come play Battlefield 2042 with us. And thanks for hanging out.
Peace up, A-Town down. Welcome to the end. I actually fucked up for once. That never fucking happens.
Okay.
Welcome back to the MGS podcast, your one-stop shop for movies, games, and sports. We've reached the final segment of our show, which is sports. We're going to talk about some of the top news stories going around the different leagues today. To start things off, though, I wanted to bring up what I think is one of the bigger news stories. New York lifted their vaccine ban, so Kyrie Irving can finally play at home.
A man with the handles.
I love Kyrie Irving,
Dude,
actually.
it's some of the stuff he does is just disgusting.
Yeah, I've seen him make grown men look like they're on my level of basketball
Speaking of that, he
prowess.
did that to the Orlando Magic and dropped like 50 plus points on them in Orlando last week, I think. So
Anytime you score 50 plus points, it is an achievement. But against the Magic,
20 wins. I was a little concerned that they were going to get over 10 wins the way they
Yeah.
started the season. I was like, oh man, this is embarrassing.
So Elijah and I, my nephew and I, we went to the Bucks versus Magic game. I think it was in November, and the guy sitting in front of us, obviously a Magic fan, mostly Magic fans there. He's just trashing Giannis Antetokounmpo the whole time, and he's like, "Man, if Franz Wagner doesn't win MVP this year, I know the league is rigged." It's like, well, you're the worst team in the NBA, so I highly doubt any player on your team is the most valuable player of the league.
The only thing we deserve is the first pick.
Yeah, that's literally it. And we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited for the Nets. Obviously, I'm not as excited being a Bucks fan myself. Kyrie being back full time. That's a massive piece of the puzzle for that team.
It is, and they're going to need it because I think they just dropped to 9th seed in the East. So they've definitely had their struggles. Harden obviously left and went over to Philly. So, now it's just Kevin Durant and Kyrie over there with some Blake Griffin. And like I said, just dropped to the 9th seed in the East.
Yeah. Well, in the East, you've got Celtics are still number one. They've been holding that spot for a while, but
tied.
Yeah, they're tied with the Heat right now.
Yeah.
And then the Bucks are half a game behind from them. In the West, it's a completely different story in the West. You've got the
14
Suns.
loss. Phoenix
Yeah,
Suns
they are just dominating
everybody. Chris Paul still showing he's got it. I think they're coming back for some revenge.
Yeah, well, Devin Booker, when the Bucks beat them in the NBA Finals last year, there's that video of Devin Booker, like he's kind of standing there watching the Bucks celebrate, untucking his jersey, and he's just like, damn. And
close.
Like when you saw him doing that, when you are there watching the other team celebrate, you're hungry.
Oh yeah.
Like you are ready to come back.
Who do we see do it in? Was it Buffalo? Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs
Watch
did it.
that happen. Yeah, man. It lets you know those guys are in it and they're dedicated. This game is full of emotions for them.
Yeah.
In any sport, but by the way, do you ever see the cars that Devin Booker pulls up in?
No.
Dude, they're awesome. Go YouTube it and look at the cars he pulls up in. I mean, just these throwbacks, and he just looks like he fits. Like he looks like he should be in LA with some of the cars he rolls up.
Definitely don't want to be in Arizona with most of those
he's
cars,
always got a convertible top, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So he's cruising in that 108-degree weather out there with the top down.
Yeah, but unlike the East, the Suns, they're 9 games up.
Yeah,
over the next closest
team
team.
Before they're easily locked in.
Yeah, because I think the playoffs start on the 16th of April.
Yeah, we're finishing up March Madness and then going into another huge basketball tournament, being the NBA Finals.
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's we're going to talk about March Madness again towards the end of the sports segment, but back onto some other NBA news. Robert Williams, he's the center for the Celtics, which he's one of the main pieces of one of the most dominant defenses in the NFL, or I almost said the NFL, in the NBA right now. And he's going to be out for several weeks. He tore his meniscus.
I mean, with them holding on to that number one spot right now with the Heat, obviously right there tied.
And the Bucks half
game back. There's going to be some switching up in the East for sure before we get to the playoffs. And we'll see if the Celtics can hold on.
Yeah, while we're on the topic of the East, a really close friend of mine was talking a lot of trash.
Better not be closer than me.
No, nobody's closer than you. Really close friend of mine, but he was talking a lot of trash back when the Knicks were above the Bucks in the East. They were above quite a few people in the East at the time.
Is that like the first game of the season when they won? Like the first game the Bucks lost, so they're like, "Oh,
yeah." But I'm not gonna say any names, buddy. But you guys aren't you aren't in it anymore. All right, we'll leave it at that. And you know, I don't know if you saw this, but kind of something crazy that happened in the NBA. The Raptors were playing the Pacers, and they had to evacuate the stadium for like 70 minutes because a speaker caught on fire.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yes.
Wait. They had to evacuate the entire stadium?
I guess so.
Did they let the people back in to watch the game?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, but
How that would be absolutely
chaotic.
Yeah, for sure.
And I could be wrong about some of the details there, but I know it was a speaker or something that had caught on fire. The picture I had seen is it was really, really close to one of the hoops as well.
Really?
You know, the fire department was there putting it out. So
Holy cow. That's not the only thing that caught fire this week. I don't know if you saw it. The Denver Broncos stadium caught fire.
Yeah.
And they had
forgot about
to bring out it caught fire.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
fire department came out, and had to put out the fire, and it was like in the upper section, maybe midsection of their stadium.
Yeah.
That was wild. That's two.
See, when you
One
said,
week.
so speaking of catching fire, I was expecting you to make a Phoenix Suns reference at that point, but I completely forgot about Mile High Stadium
Yeah,
literally catching on fire. But, moving into NFL news since our last podcast, probably the biggest and really the most notable at all free agency move was Tyreek Hill. He's taking his talents to South Beach.
Yeah, Jackson
Miami
Mahomes
Dolphins.
and Juju Smith-Schuster were in there doing TikTok videos, and he said,
I can't.
"Peace out.
I can't do this
I'm
anymore.
not doing this."
These cheetah legs are going to South Beach.
Dolphins made him. Is he the highest paid receiver now in the league?
Because Devontae Adams is at $28 million per year, and I think Tyreek's at $30 million per year, a 4-year, $120 million deal.
I mean, I know a lot of people right off the bat were throwing out the memes that Tua doesn't have the arm to get down the field, but let's not forget how much Tyreek Hill can make people miss on even short routes. So, I mean, him and Jalen Waddle over there, little penguin,
kind of like how you
walk. Dual threat over there. I have one leg that's longer than the other. That's why. So that's a sensitive subject.
Well, Miami also brought in a decent backup quarterback. They signed Teddy Bridgewater to a 1-year deal. It was like a $6.5 million deal.
He came from the Broncos, right?
Yeah, and prior to that, the Vikings. He keeps getting these head injuries, man. And he's one of those guys. Once he got hurt the first time, I believe it was a knee thing. I could be wrong.
Well, he was in,
but
he tore his ACL in Minnesota, and then came back but didn't fully recover. Then they signed Kirk Cousins, and then he went down to Carolina. And I think he was going to start there.
Yeah, and then
something happened. I think a head injury there, and then he got traded over to the Broncos and started there for a little bit. Not sure we'll see him as a starter again.
I don't think so.
But he'll be there to back up Tua, and see what happens.
He's got a less severe Robert Griffin III syndrome going on.
Yeah.
So there was a huge rumor stirring up. Don't know if you saw this. I had seen it all over. I mean, it was on ESPN, Fox Sports, NFL.com even had some reporters saying something about it. Tom Brady.
Dolphins, I was like, what more? Where y'all getting this money? You guys already gave away so many first-round picks. I know you got a lot of picks to give away, but I was like, what is going on?
But the Flames were fueled, and everyone was talking about, is Tom Brady going to be traded to the Miami Dolphins? Now, head coach Mike McDaniels, new head coach, which that's a topic for another day. I don't think they should have a new head coach right now. But he shot it down. He said, and I quote, "It's fake news." So Tom Brady is going to be staying in Tampa Bay. Let's be realistic. Probably until he dies in his early 80s, he'll be playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So
actually, breaking news just now: Tom Brady has retired again. Breaking news: Tom Brady is back. That's how quick these things are.
He made fun of Peyton Manning because Peyton Manning just created like an Instagram account because he was bored. So he posted on Twitter. He's like, "When I was bored, I just unretired because I already had an Instagram."
Well, the funny thing is,
screw you, Tom.
Peyton goes on there and says, "Tom, I want my wine back. I want the flowers back. I want the card back that I sent you for retirement."
Gifts, yeah.
So that was funny.
Speaking of retirement, a pretty reputable figure in the baseball world is returning to his his OG team for what's probably going to be his final rodeo.
Albert Pujols. I was lucky enough to be able to see him play with the Angels for a few years. Obviously, his big years were with the Cardinals. Right off the bat, last year the Angels parted ways with him, and he went to finish up the season in Los Angeles with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Played over there, and now he's going back to his original team where he'll probably retire and get that number retired over there for all the records he broke there with St. Louis. Monster of a player, great first baseman, hell of a bat. I was out there for my 30th birthday with my wife. We went out to Anaheim and we were able to watch him play out there, see him up close. So it was really cool to see.
Well, what, he won 2 World Series?
Yeah, with the Cardinals.
With the Cardinals and a few MVPs thrown in there too.
3 MVPs.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolute great player. Easy valid to the Hall of Fame for sure. Easy vote.
First ballot.
Yeah. So for final season, we'll see him there with the Cardinals, and I wish him nothing but the best. He's a great player. So.
Well, and him. You said he played for the Dodgers. Because I forgot that he even went to the Dodgers in the first place.
Because it was just for a half season.
Okay.
So yeah, they if they traded him or if he left, I'm pretty sure.
I know the Dodgers just made another trade too. What was it?
Their first baseman.
Yeah,
is that what it was?
Yeah, I think Matt Beatty, is that his name? I'm not very familiar with him, but I had seen that he gotten traded to the Padres.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, great first baseman. They probably, I don't know what they got, but I didn't see his contract at all, but I remember him being over there. Great player. I think he was an All-Star last year as well. So,
speaking of All-Star, Aaron Judge, he's waiting for a contract extension from the Yankees right now, and he had a little statement that he made. Bombs 2 home runs in a game. One of them went like 382 feet at 114 miles per hour.
The monster.
Yeah.
I don't see them not signing him and giving him the money, but I don't know how much they'll give him. I know he's not been the same Aaron Judge we saw a couple years ago. I think he had his struggles last year, but I mean, his bat, let alone his fielding, he's got a cannon to his arm.
And they got to check that bat for cork. And that's all I'm saying.
Man crushes those things.
And, we do actually have something a little bit sad to report. Our one Cinderella story in March Madness.
I was so excited to post that the other day on the Instagram account.
I know, I saw that. But St. Peter's
number 15.
They're finally out
made
of it.
To the Elite Eight.
Yeah, since our last podcast, North Carolina had played UCLA. They beat UCLA. Well, this is in the East anyway. Purdue ended up losing to St. Peter's, and that's when you posted the Cinderella story. Yep. But then, unfortunately, North Carolina came back and defeated St. Peter's.
I mean, it stinks that you don't see the Cinderella story go on, but North Carolina now will go on to play Duke, who is like their huge rival. So to see those two teams go head to head in the Final Four, are we in Elite Eight?
No, Final Four.
Final Four, yeah. Final Four. See those two teams go head to head.
And what could be Coach K's last game.
Yeah, yep. So we'll see. It'll be a heck of a game. I can't wait to watch that one. And then we also have Gonzaga, who went down, who got beat by Kansas.
The Tornadoes.
The second Tornadoes.
The Tornadoes. And then Duke had they played Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, yeah. Who I actually thought Texas Tech was gonna pull that one off.
Yeah.
But that was a close game. I think it was by 5 points.
Yeah, and then Duke took out the Tornadoes.
Yeah.
After that, so the South, your boys' team over in Miami, unfortunately, they're out of it now too.
Came up short. They were winning those first couple of games by some good margin. And I thought they were going to make a run, but hold your heads high. I mean, you made it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Just lost to a better team. Like I said, there's huge thing in this. I said a couple weeks ago as the stamina.
Yeah, you get worn out.
Guys are getting worn down now, and we'll see. Who goes down next, but we're into the Final Four now, and our Final Four teams
Well, I was surprised to see Arizona got beat by
Oh
Houston.
yeah, number 1 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arizona got beat by Houston, and they were number 5 or 6, I believe, coming into it. Um, they got beat by Houston, and then Villanova beat Michigan, which I was happy to see that because, myself being a Badgers guy, yeah, the only thing I wish for the Wolverines to do on a yearly basis is choke.
Yeah.
So, and that's because Wisconsin always chokes,
Yeah.
so I also need them to choke.
I mean, Ohio State being my dad's team, I know he's always happy when Michigan loses. So
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
that's
care
true.
if it's in rowing, he's
Yeah.
happy.
And then Kansas defeated Providence in the West or the Midwest. So, I mean, the Final Four, it looks pretty good. You've got your top teams in it, which I guess was kind of expected because you're gonna having, like you said, Duke against North Carolina, and then you're gonna have
I think North Carolina's
Kansas.
our largest seed at this point at 6.
Yeah,
So
yeah, because
everybody
otherwise
else is
it's
a 1
just
and
2 and 1.
2,
Mm-hmm.
which seeing a lot of those top teams get knocked off in the beginning, I wasn't sure we were going to get a whole
Yeah.
lot of the number 1 and 2s, but they've survived and made it to the Final Four. So
Well, everyone wants this. We talked about it on a couple podcasts now. Everyone wants that Cinderella story.
yeah,
Everyone wants the underdog to prevail. The David to defeat Goliath. And I was surprised when Gonzaga lost. I was surprised when Wisconsin lost too, though.
Yeah.
So and you rubbed it in last week while I was dressed like a woman. So I will say I'm much cooler now without the wig.
yeah, you feel a little bit more
Yeah,
comfortable.
yeah. I actually wore the wig around for a week or so I might have a tan line on my head. I
Oh
just,
yeah, it's there.
yeah, I was feeling myself in that thing. I was really feeling it. But yeah. So March, or I'm not March. We're leaving March. April 2nd is when we'll see the Final Four. First game is I think around 6:30. Second game's around 9.
And then we'll find out who's in the championship game.
Yeah, and then
Who do you think's gonna make it?
I mean, being that there's no underdogs left, I wouldn't mind seeing Coach K in his last season take it all.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of controversy at Duke over the years, but Coach K, I mean, I look at the man, we've watched him age, and like even his grandson comes in off the bench and like sinks a 3 instantly, and Coach K is just like, I don't even think he saw it happen. So, I wouldn't mind seeing Coach K get a win, but if it's not Duke, I'd take North Carolina because that's the closest thing we have
I
to
mean,
a Cinderella story at
I
this
think,
point.
yeah, I mean, the Duke North Carolina game, I think, is going to be a championship caliber game just because of how big the rivalry is
Yep.
there. But I think in Duke and Kansas is what we're going to get.
Yeah.
As a championship game. I don't think Villanova is going to be able to top Kansas, but I mean, 2 great teams. We'll see. I'd like to see Duke and Kansas duke it out.
Oh,
No pun intended. But we'll see. So April 2nd,
Yeah.
we have those games, and we'll see what's going on for the championship game.
I hate that we're about to close the podcast out on that terrible pun that you just told.
Sorry, but I'm not sorry.
But yeah, that'll wrap things up for the sports segment and wrap things up for the podcast. Thanks always for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. Send us your gaming clips. Leave a like, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your grandma. Tell her to tell her friends. Just it's 2 dudes chilling on a couch
Yeah,
talking
and if you have
movies,
a baby
games,
that
and
was
sports.
just born, there's nothing better to listen to in the background than these 2 beautiful voices.
Yeah, I mean, create your baby an account, a YouTube account. Subscribe them or her. Subscribe them early. Get them watching.
And thanks again, 1,000+ views. We're super happy and appreciate all you guys. And thanks again for hanging out.
Have a good one, guys. Yeah. Wow, bang.
You make my heart sing.
You make my heart sing. You make everything.
What movie do you think of right away
groovy.
when you hear that?
Come on now, wow, thing.
Major League. Charlie Sheen. He's the close. Well, he starts and closes, but